AM 1280 News Talk KIT. Lance Stormy, Dave Edel, Jacksonian, and you. And Lance, I got to tell you, it's kind of exciting for us this morning. New kid in town, as they say, with all due respect. You know, I think I speak for everyone when I say these words. Are you ready? Here we go.
Don't tase me, bro.
Don't tase me, bro. Remember that? It goes way back. Yeah. But it never gets old.
That's right.
It never gets old.
That's right. In the studio this morning, we have the new Yakima Police Chief, Mr. Matt Murray. And good morning, Chief.
Good morning to you guys, and good morning, Yakima.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for being here, Chief. Appreciate it very much. How you finding Yakima so far?
You know, it's great. The people have been exceptionally friendly. Been out and about, meeting folks, and
we heard about that. Somebody said they saw you like walking around town, meeting folks.
Yeah, one of the things people can expect is I do a lot of walking, and I mean a lot of walking. The other day I walked 25 miles. I went from Natchez to
Get out of here.
No, I do long distance walking.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't want to get in a Fitbit steps contest with me.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm at 35 miles a week, not 25
no.
a day.
I think I'm at about 70 this week for Yakima.
Oh, my
So anyway,
God.
I walk
Good for
around
you.
Yakima, and I really think it's important for us to connect with the community. We hear it all the time on a personal level. So, yeah, that's something that you'll see me doing. And if you do see me in the community, I would ask, come up, shake my hand, get to know me.
Keep in mind, that's mile-high walking, too.
That's mile high. That's right.
That's
high altitude.
That's right.
Betcha. He can,
That's
at
right.
last, someone that can, you know, I walk the length of the Nile doesn't sound so impressive right now.
Doesn't. Not when he does that. Man, oh, man. Well, Chief, tell us about yourself, about your family, and kind of just give us an overview.
So I've been married 31 years. My wife's a school teacher, and she's hoping to teach here in Yakima. We had 6 kids, 40 foster kids. So we,
wow.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I like having kids, by the way. It's just kind of the way things worked out. But we're real focused on working in the community and doing community things. It's very important to us, which is one of the reasons we chose Yakima. We think that this is a community that embraces that kind of thing and is looking for people who are active. And there are some issues in the community that we know really need some attention, and we want to give back and do that.
We want to connect you with my sister-in-law, Shannon Love. She is very big into the fostering community and has a group called Fostering Change, working with the legislature to bring about some much-needed change to that whole system. Our state has lost a ton of people that used to foster for one reason or another, and the fact that you got some background in all of that, I think you'd be a welcome addition to that community for sure.
Thanks. And by the way, shout out to all those people who do foster care. It's so needed. These kids really need a place, and the goal, of course, is to get families back together. But in the meantime, they need somewhere safe to be. So shout out to those folks.
Excellent. Any of your kids still with the family? Or are they all a little older or what?
No, we are empty nesters. So I do have a daughter in Tacoma and a granddaughter there. So that was one of the reasons we wanted to come up to the Northwest.
Oh, that's nice.
And if you have grandkids, you'll know that just changes your whole life. So
yeah, definitely. How long in law enforcement?
I did 28 years in the Denver Police Department.
28.
Was from a police officer on the street all the way up to deputy chief. Most of my time was in investigations. For instance, I did the Columbine case. I did all the crime scene drawings for that shooting. We just had another one in Colorado a couple days ago. So,
tragedy, yeah.
Unfortunately, I was at the beginning of all that, and that's another big issue we're dealing with in this country.
Well, we got to ask you a question that one of the individuals asked on television. 20 years, 20-mile radius, 5. I mean, what's in the water? What's in the air there that makes Colorado ground zero?
It's a great question. I think without getting too deep into this, because it's probably a lengthy discussion, there were really no school shootings in America until Columbine, and then all of a sudden it's happening all the time. And I think people would be shocked to know the actual number. I know it's well over 300 now. I mean, it's becoming just commonplace. And psychologists can tell you the reasons for that better than I can. But I think one of the reasons is when people see something like that happen and they have some of the same feelings within them, they feel free to go do it themselves. And I do think, too, I mean, we had a lady, I don't know if the news made it here, she came all the way from Florida during the week of Columbine. So I do think, too, that some people who have that mental illness or instability are drawn to the area because they do feel that connection with Columbine.
I mean, it's the initial history and it's epicenter for when this sort of thing began. So
well, and if you think about all the school shootings, we all know Columbine. I mean, and so it's still sort of the pinnacle of this whole issue.
Well, I guess school safety. we just had some schools pass levies and our bonds, and are going to be building schools, and school safety is part of that. And we know that the department has school resource officers. Any thoughts on those kinds of programs? Will we continue those kinds of things with YPD? And
Well, I hope so. I mean, I think it's critical that we all, do our best to be conscious of security. I mean, your building here, I had to buzz to get in. That's a good thing. But I want to also point out, if you think about the shooting in Las Vegas, that's a concert. I mean, how do you plan for that?
Yeah.
And a guy's, well above the crowd shooting into hundreds of people. So we can't just focus on schools. We have to think about any time that, churches have become a target. So any time that a lot of people are drawn together.
Population gatherings and vulnerabilities. Yeah.
And really the answer here is everybody has to be conscious of it. You should be thinking about it even if you have a 2-person business or you're having an event with 1,000 people.
So how do you feel about an armed population? Yakima has its fair share. We're a gun community. A lot of concealed weapon carriers here. I'm not going to say how many guns are in this room right now, but maybe more than you know. How do you feel about that for a community then, being the first line of defense is yourself, knowing that you guys might take 2 minutes to get there?
So I think what's important for me to say is one of the first things I really want people to know is my job is not a political job. I'm appointed. I'm not elected.
Right.
So I don't take political positions on things like that. What I do is follow the law, and I know that the law here allows for concealed weapons, and I support that law, and we'll advocate for the law. So
what was it like in Denver? Do they have the same sort of?
They do. In fact, they have open carry, which causes sometimes a lot of consternation. People see somebody walking in with a gun on their hip, they get a little nervous, right?
You got some investigation calls because of legal activity.
Well, and how does the officer know the difference between somebody who's about to walk into a school and have a shooting and somebody who's a good law-abiding citizen with a gun? So I'm not taking a position for or against. It's something we deal with because it's within the law. I will support the law and defend the law. I think that debate is better for other folks to have.
Okay, fair enough.
KIT News Time 7:52, talking to new Yakima Police Chief Matt Murray. How's your transition been? I mean, we got the controversy that we heard about that was resolved before you left Denver. How would you describe your transition from Denver to Yakima?
I would say that there's been kind of 2 transitions. On the ground, talking to people, people could not have been more friendly. I mean, because I've walked in the west, and I've walked down the east.
Sounds like he's walked around the whole day.
Yeah,
about 20 times.
Yeah, I've walked around
All in one day.
And
That was
people
before
have
breakfast.
been incredibly friendly, and people have come up to me and shaken my hand.
Now,
and
are you walking in your
yes,
uniform?
sir, in uniform.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you'll see me in uniform.
Right.
And so I would say the people have been incredibly friendly. Now, some of the people who may have had another agenda or an interest may have been resistive. I understand that. It's not personal. People, this is happening on a national level, and it happens on a local level.
Yeah.
I'm here now, and I think what's really important is that there are some big problems in this community, and that's what we need to focus our attention on.
What are the top 3 in your opinion today?
I think there's no doubt in anybody's mind that this community has too much violent crime and gun crime and gang crime. And so there's no doubt that we have to talk about that. I mean, it's interesting when you're out in the west side of town, people will talk about gun crime, but it doesn't really affect them, even though it's just a few miles away.
Right.
I mean, and Yakima has almost gotten desensitized to the incredible amount. I mean,
Proportionate.
You look at the young people being killed in this community. That's pretty sobering. And I think we all, and I think that's important, it's a collaborative effort, have to work together to deal with this, because the police cannot just do this alone.
Interesting that the council was looking at gang issue stuff just the other day.
Right.
We had were you at the chamber
I was.
luncheon? And you heard the mayor say that Gang-Free Initiative was one of her more, I was on that with her, and I really felt that we were making some progress and heading in the right direction, and there were some funding issues and even some dissension on the council. But I think that a re-energized council working with someone who recognizes the problem right away coming in and wants to do something about it, offers hope and potential.
Can I
for,
say one really
yeah,
quick thing about that
absolutely.
too? I think, folks, it's really, really important. If you take nothing away from today, it can't just be enforcement. Although we need enforcement, right? We need intervention, which means as something's about to happen, and then we also need prevention. And I know some of the focus is on those things here, but I hope folks really recognize that that's part of the equation.
I think we need to relight the fuse, and maybe you're just the guy to help us do that. So
Yeah,
that would be
definitely.
good. What about the union situation? You know, they didn't have much faith in the city manager, given some of their concerns. Have you had a chance to really talk to those guys? And
I think I have a meeting with them either today or tomorrow. Absolutely, I respect that there are unions here, and they have a right to their opinion and to make requests, and we have a process to deal with that, and I'll respect that. But I'm also 8 days in, so I don't know that I have a full grasp
you're not
of
an
all
expert
the,
on everything already.
well, I'm close. I'm getting there. But there's a lot of issues I'm going to have to learn and to really understand the dynamics of what's happening.
Yeah, and people need to keep that in mind. Even with all your years of experience in law enforcement, every situation is different. Every set of circumstances and individuals are different, and it's going to take a certain amount of time to fit right in. And
I think it's important too to know that both sides may be looking at the same issue and have very different opinions about it. Right? It doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. People differ. I mean, you talked about the gun issue. Yeah. People have very strong opinions either way. I don't know that we can say one's right and wrong. We just have to kind of work towards the same solution.
I think people are encouraged to hear that politics isn't your thing. Your deal is to make the system work. Know what the laws are, work those laws, make sure you have a system of manpower and resources and training to address those issues and do your thing. Is that a fair characterization?
Yeah, and one of the things I said when I was being interviewed for the job, even in the community forum, is I think one of the most important things for a person in my role is to find out what the values of the community are, ensure that the police have the same values, and that our actions and words reflect those values. That to me is really one of the most critical functions that I can serve.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though that 8 days in you can see the divide in the city.
It's clear. It was clear before I got here.
Yeah, not only maybe philosophically, but even geographically in the way that the places look and everything. Just such a drastic difference.
Well, let me ask you this: with your intuition, then, do you sense the divide right here? Do you feel the tension?
It's clear.
It's palpable.
I've got east and west to my left and right.
See, all right.
We'll post a picture about that today.
Right. So we now know he's totally in tune. With
all right, but other than walking, what do you have any hobbies? What do you do on the weekends? What do you do? Anything like that?
Well,
ski? Do you ski or snowboard?
No, and you would think from Colorado, I've done it.
Yeah,
but
come on. I thought I'd have my in here.
It's really expensive, and in Colorado, unfortunately, there's so many people going that it's like you have to spend an extra 4 hours on the road to get up there.
I bet.
But I love the outdoors. I'm in a trailer right now. We have a really nice fifth wheel, and so we love to travel.
Cool.
I've been lucky enough to go around the world a little bit. So, we have a lot of personal interests. And by the way, if folks want to know more, they can follow me on Twitter and the department on Twitter. I'm at Yakima PD, or Chief Matt Murray at Yakima PD. We'll tweet this show out today, and then they'll see kind of what I'm doing and where I'm at.
Right on.
Get a sense of who we are and what we're up to.
Well, do you have like the old first 100 days kind of thing, or is the first 100 days just to kind of see what goes on for the first 100 days?
You actually nailed it. I think that this is not a broken police department. It's not a broken city.
Right.
There are some in this country, and they're hiring people to come in right away and blow things up and totally remake things. And that's not why I was hired, and no one has given me that sense. I think one of the things I need to do first is exactly what I'm doing. Talk to people, find out what people are thinking, get a sense of what works, what doesn't, or where we may want to go. And that includes inside the department, too. I just came from an early morning roll call. We call them musters here. I'll do that a lot. I need to hear from officers. What are they thinking? What are they facing? What are their challenges? So I've got a lot of hats to wear initially, and I really 100 days won't be enough to really listen to folks and hear what it is they have to say. And I hope your listeners take advantage of the opportunity.
The
to
coffee
let
with
us
the
know.
cop thing is coming up
This morning.
That's right.
This morning.
Yeah. So
10 to noon.
We're about running out of time for this conversation, but we do hope to establish this kind of relationship where you feel comfortable and come back and talk about.
You can have me anytime. I'd be happy to. And if you want to do a regular show where we talk about things, I'll take questions from folks. Whatever you want.
We're going to do that. Let's take advantage of that. Excellent.
Chief Matt Murray, thanks for the time.
Thank you very much.
Best of good luck.
Gentlemen, have a great day.